Hello, welcome to your Implementation Essentials On-Demand training. My name is Rebecca Kitchin, and I am a trainer with eDynamic Learning, and I will be your guide today. Before we get started, let's do a little housekeeping. If you did not receive a participant guide, there's a bit.ly on this screen that you can pause the video and go ahead and get a copy of that. There's some information on that guide that will support you as we go through the training, but it also will give you some additional resources for follow-up after the training. Also, as you have time to pause the video, make sure that you can log in to your Agilix Buzz account. Now is a great time to make sure you have access to that. If you have a second screen that you can watch as we go through this training, it will give you the ability to watch the presentation on one screen and then dive into your own content on a second screen. Because the structure of our courses are all the same, even though you'll be looking at a different course, you will recognize the structure and be able to practice with some of the tools that I'm going to introduce you to. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today. First, I'm going to introduce you to eDynamic Learning. We will look at the structure of the courses and the design. Then we're going to actually go into Buzz. We will access that LMS, and we'll first look at some of the teacher tools and then look at it from the student point of view. So we'll explore that student experience, and then we'll go back to the teacher view again. We'll look at grading, assessments, customizing, and then at the end of our training, I will go through some additional resources that are available to you outside of your courses. So let me give you a little information about who you're going to be working with. eDynamic Learning is a company that was founded by teachers, and their mission was to help students to discover their passions and then explore career opportunities that went with those passions. We are the largest publisher of career and technical education in North America, and currently we have over 270 courses and growing. Our focus is on middle school and high school students. These courses can be used synchronously or asynchronously with students. The curriculum is flexible. You can customize it to make it your own. And all of the curriculum is built and maintained in-house. So that makes for high responsiveness to customer service issues and great timeliness for any updates in our curriculum. eDynamic is part of Pearson Career Ready, and Pearson Career Ready brings everything together into one system, and that allows you as teachers to be able to guide your students towards confident, future-ready career choices. So these courses are aligned with CTE training. They will prepare students to connect with those career opportunities and even prepare them for some industry certifications. There are many ways that the courses can be used. So you can use them fully online. A student could independently take a course, but you can also use them completely in class using the digital curriculum as a digital textbook. The place that these courses really shine is when you have teacher-directed learning and coaching, and then the power of digital resources that are available through our courses. At the bottom of this slide, you can see some other ways that the courses can be used outside of a traditional school day for extracurricular and for enrichment purposes. When you are working with Buzz, your students are going to be able to access their content anywhere that they have connectivity. So this means desktops, laptops, tablets, Chromebooks, cell phones. They are compatible with many different browsers. Because of this incredible access that students will have, it will also be very important for you to set your expectations for how you want them to format their work. And we have great orientation materials to help you guide your students through those expectations for success. Next, let's take a look at the course structure and design overview. We are going to look at the design and organization in the courses, and I'm going to show you how to find both the content and the features and tools that are available to you, and then resources that are included within your courses. So at the top of our inverted triangle, we have the ideas that the courses are built on sound instructional design. There are multiple learning theories involved in the creation of these courses. So there are going to be simple behavioristic elements like the flashcards that will give students immediate feedback. Information is going to be chunked so that students will get piece by piece, and it will limit their cognitive load. They won't be overwhelmed by complexities of new information. And then we are also going to see places where students can construct new knowledge, that they can use interactive tools to build on knowledge that they already have. So these learning theories are going to provide opportunities for students to really shine using their different learning styles, but it also provides opportunities for teachers to be able to present the courses and really manipulate those courses and adjust them so that they really match with their teaching style as well. Let's take a look at the design process. So each of our courses have been built using backwards design theory, starting with the end in mind. So first, identifying desired results. We always work with subject matter experts. They assist us in knowing where students need to end up. They also help us deciding what is the best way for students to be able to prove they have that information. Is that with a accommodating task or a test? And then all of the learning experiences are built to support that final goal of the big ideas and the skills that we want students to have. So the next section, looking at the portions of the units. There are 3 sections in each unit. You're going to see the teacher resources folder, which is hidden from students. You're going to see getting started for students folder, and then you'll see the learning units. So the first thing in this section is going to be in the teacher resources folder, the pacing guide. The pacing guide is more than just how many weeks you're going to spend in each unit. The pacing guide provides different lesson activities, different interactives, different experiences for students as they go through the material in order to really build that as permanent knowledge. So this gives you suggestions for how to build peer interactives and then class interactives with your students as you're going through the courses. Also included in the teacher resource section is a group of teacher resource guides. If you are going to be working with project-based learning or inquiry-based learning, there are guides that will support you here. We will dive into the blended learning guide a little bit more, and that is one that will, again, give you more interactive activities that you can use with your students so that they're not just reading the material, they are interacting with it. So the next section in our inverted triangle is going to be the lessons. So within the lessons, you've got your content, but you'll also see that the vocabulary is bold. Students can click on that to get the definitions. There is a full list of vocabulary available for you to download or for students to access. There are interactives and formative assessments provided within each unit, and then there is a high quality audio of the lesson content that we call the podcast that's going to be useful both for students and for teachers. Let's take a look at your LMS, which is Buzz. So I'm going to switch my screen You can pause me if you want, if you have not yet logged into your Buzz account. I'm going to switch my screen so that you can see where I am logging in. So after I log in, I have 3 options. You may only see the teacher option. If you are entered into your system as an administrator, or if you are enrolled in one of the classes as a student, you will see those apps as well. To start with, I would like to go in as a teacher because all of you should see the teacher button. And you will see then on the dashboard all the courses that you are enrolled with as a teacher. So let's take a look here at just the tiles that you have. I'm going to be using workplace and internship readiness for the course that I'm demonstrating. And we are going to take a look at these different icons at the bottom. The activity icon will take you into the course. The next icon is for the gradebook. You'll be able to do some reports, some more diagnostic information and individual information about your students. This is the editor. And then behind this vertical ellipsis, you have the ability to change the nickname of the course. If you have several periods and you want to have different courses for those different periods, you can copy the course and then edit the course nickname so that you can see which course is which on your dashboard. So what I am going to do, I'm just going to click on the tile that will take me into the course. So whichever course you are in right now, click the tile, you will see the structure of the course. So these are the 3 parts that I mentioned: the teacher resources, getting started for students, and then the content. And in several different views, you're going to see the units and then a midterm and then units and then a final. This icon here tells me that students cannot see this, and I will show you in the editor how to hide things from students. So I would like for you to open up your teacher resources folder. And you see here that you have the pacing guide that I mentioned. Then you have those teaching guides. Let's take a look at the teaching guides. In the teaching guides, when this opens, you will see, if you're in a state that has alignments in the courses, you will see those here. This is a general course. So the first thing I see is my course lesson plans. If I click on a course lesson plan, this will download that lesson plan and it will open up as a Word doc. Once you have downloaded this, this belongs to you. So just like a recipe, you can make this your own. You can make notes on it. You can put dates on it. You can add, remove, whatever you want in order to make this useful for yourself. And then you can keep this in your files. So I think of this as a basic lesson plan. It gives you the outline about how long it's going to take. And then you can see it's got your objectives and different ways to present different material, homework, differentiation, extension ideas. So you'll also see in that it mentions the slides. So the slides are the next thing that I would like to show you. And those slide decks, again, if you click on that button, it will download. This downloads as a PowerPoint, but you can also save it as Google Slides. And once you've downloaded it, this is yours. So you can use this to display in your classroom. It has vocabulary for the unit, and it has questions and interactives. Feel free to use this. It's great for really focusing students on what they're going to be learning. It gives them the whole idea of what you're going to learn in this unit, which is really good to give them that grounding in this is where we're going with this. This is why we are looking at this. So the next thing in your teaching guides, there is a Teaching with AI guide. This will give you just some things to think about, some considerations. This is teacher facing. And then we're going to take a look at the blended learning guide. So the blended learning guide will also download. And I have that here. Let's take a look at that blended learning guide. So if we look at the table of contents, you'll see that it walks you through how to use the resource, and then it gives you all different kinds of lessons that you can do with your students. These can be used over and over again. Some of them take some preparation for getting ready for them, and some of them can be used very quickly. So let me go into discussion posts. It'll give me the strategies, the objectives, the materials that I need. And basically this is the kind of discussion points. You can take those discussion questions that we'll see in the course. You can use them as a group discussion in class. Students can get little tickets of paper or chips or something so that every time they participate in the discussion, they are able to either draw one or hand one to you. If you have students who are hesitant to participate, if they don't have the number of chips they need on the way out the door, you can have a personal conversation with them where they just tell you something privately rather than participating in the whole group. So many different ways that this can be used, but this blended learning guide has many different activities, and they all have the lesson plans to go with them. So the next thing that I would like for you to take a look at, we are back in our course. You can see those other guides here. The guides are not connected to the content in the course. So these are guides that you can download once, keep in your files, and then use those strategies when you want to up your game in whatever the content is. So I would suggest that you have them, take a look at them when you have time, so that you can see which tools and which best practices are encouraged that actually go directly with eDynamic content. I'm going to back out of teacher guides here, and you'll see that the next thing that we have is our answer keys. So in the answer keys, these are suggested answers. Many of the questions that students will be asked are not objective questions. So you're going to be getting suggested answers, and you can see on this one, answers will vary, but should include. You will also be provided with the grading rubric that students will see so that you can reinforce to them, these are the things that you need to do in order to complete a successful paper. So suggested answers, there is an index at the top that you can go through and see the different answer keys. It's wonderful working in Buzz because you can duplicate your tabs, so you can have your answer keys open in one tab and student work open in another. And you, even though you have the ability to print this or create a PDF and download it, you can keep both screens open at the same time and be looking at those to use these answer keys. So those are the main sections in our teacher resources. The next section is getting started for students. And you can see this one was hidden from students. Getting started for students has some materials in it that you as a teacher will be interested in looking at, but they are also visible to students. You may just have the teacher app. I'm actually going to go into my waffle here, and I'm going to choose to look at this as a student so that I can also demonstrate for you how students would turn work in. So you can see that they have the same kind of tiles that you saw as an instructor, but they have fewer little icons at the bottom. This will take them into their activities. I'd like to preview for you here what students' grades are going to look like. If they click on this, they're going to see things that they've turned in, they'll see their due dates, and then they'll see any comments that you have made. So there's also other tools that you can explore and they can explore in here. It shows where their progress is. It shows their current score. The what if tool is a place they can go in and figure out what they need to get on as a certain score in order to get the grade that they might be looking for. So this is great as they go through the course. We are going to back out of that student grades right there. And I'm going back to this where I can go into activities and see the content of the course. So they do not have the teacher resources folder, but they do have the Getting Started for Students. If you're still working in your teacher app, you will be able to see exactly the same thing they do. I'm going to open this and then I'm going to work from the bottom up. And depending on the course that you're looking at, there may be some different parts in here, but in this course, it starts with companion courses. Companion courses are going to tell you if there are other courses in this series, and also if there are things that might be on the same topic or the same kind of thing that would be interesting to students. You have your course bibliography. And then if you are looking at a course that has an industry certification that it will help work towards, there will also be a section here that says career certification or industry certification that you can open up and see the other courses that would be required in order to prepare students for those industry tests. You will always see course vocabulary, which is all the vocabulary for the course, and students can download that and keep that in their files. In the required materials section, you will see all the materials that are required outside of your digital textbook. So sometimes there are things that you'll need to decide, are we going to make an adjustment? If a video recording device or a cell phone is not allowed during the school day, you may need to make a change in that particular lesson. And you can look down here. We've provided unit by unit and assignment by assignment where you're going to need that information. So if for example, we've got spreadsheet software and activity 4, if your students have never used either Sheets or if they've never used Excel and you're going to need a spreadsheet software, this is the time ahead of time that you can do a mini lesson on that. Or you'll just know that you need to address that as students get in there. So these are required materials. The next section is the course syllabus. So this will give you and the students the skeleton of the course and where you're going. And then I would like everyone to open up How to Be Successful in an eDynamic Learning course. In this section, you have student-facing information about how to use some of the course features, and I will walk you through the literacy support toolbar and the podcast. This is student-facing information in their course. We also have a video that will walk them through this. So when I take you there and we're practicing with the tools, know that there is also video support for students to review that and to go in and use those tools. There is a section on study tips. And then we're also going to have a place here where you can discuss rubrics. This is a great place for you to discuss with your students what your expectations are. I mentioned that they're going to be able to access things from phones, from desktops, from laptops. In order for your students to know what that format should look like when they turn things in, look at the grading rubric and then see if there's other things for your program or your school or your classroom that you really want your students to include. So it could be something like, I want you to include the questions and the answers. I want a certain heading on your paper, and I want you to cite anything that you use that came from outside that course. So you are using this as an introduction to them for rubrics, but set your class standards as well. There are also sections below that that will talk about digital integrity, different tools that students can use, academic honesty, an honor code. This is a good place to discuss with them any school things or student handbooks or anything that they have already signed or that are in place in your institution that they have already looked at or that they may not know about. Set those expectations for what that framework looks like in your school, and discuss the use of AI. Can they use it? Can they not use it? What is it going to look like? So having these conversations with students ahead of time makes it so that you don't have to make the decision when something actually occurs. You've already set those expectations. This section of the How to Be Successful in an eDynamic Learning course is something that you can use the first week of school. This is what I mentioned before that can be used as a student orientation for digital learning, setting expectations so that they're ready to go. All right, let's take a look at our unit structure. We are going to back out of Getting Started for Students, and you will see the same structure that we saw before with the units, the midterm, more units, and then the final exam. So I am going to open Unit 3. You can open any unit you want. The parts of the unit are going to be similar no matter which one you choose. So I am opening up Unit number 3, and you will see that there is an introduction, the lessons, then you have a podcast, and then you have questions and a Dropbox, an activity and a Dropbox. Those Dropboxes are what is connected to the gradebook. So if you are going to move things around or hide things from students when we get to the editor, make sure that you leave this Dropbox and the activities and lessons together so that they can turn in the work that they have done. Also below, you'll see that there are flashcards. There is a computer scored quiz, and then there are discussions that you can use either as in class or you can use them where students will be able to complete them digitally. So let's take a look at lesson number 1. Well, we'll start with the introduction. The introduction is going to tell your students, just like on that slideshow, this is where we're going. This is the same information that they will see on the slideshow. This is the podcast just of this page. And then I'm going to navigate to lesson number 1. So in lesson number 1, I'm going to scroll through. Depending on what lessons you have chosen, you will see some of these different features that we have. There are pictures. You have the vocabulary in here bolded. When you hover over it, it will give them the definition. They may need to be reminded that when they see these dots, that means that there is a rotator there, and they need to go through that in order to get all the information. If a student ever says they didn't see that in the content and it was on the test, it could be that they didn't interact with some of the drop downs and the rotators that are available. So you will also see things going into lesson 2 where there are places that are logical to pause with your students and have them break into small groups. Here is one. So you will find things where students, again, will need to be reminded that these triangles are not just cute little bullet points. There's always information below them, but you can break students into groups and have them work on these and then report back to the whole class. And then you can see that there are some short videos that are in here as well. So simulations in there. I am going to back out to my menu. And you can see in this particular unit, I have 5 lessons. I'm going to go into the last lesson before the podcast. In that last lesson before the podcast, first, I want you to take a look at this accessibility feature. This is going to show up in all your units, in all your lessons, and click on that toolbar. This is one of those things that there's student-facing information about in the Student Getting Started section, and there's also a video available to explain to them how to use this. I'm going to explain these tools, and then I would encourage you to pause the video and go in and play with them yourself so that you can get a feel for how they look and how they work. So the first 4 buttons, you have a selection button. So if I click somewhere in this, after I've clicked the selection button, it will read it.
As you've learned, employers look for certain employees.
So, and then I have my play, my pause, and my stop buttons. So that is if I would like to use that, that computer screen reading, that's where I'm going to get that for my students. So the next thing we're going to look at is the translator button. So with the translator button, they can highlight any or all of the page. So if I highlight this first paragraph and then click on the translator button, this will translate the information. And then this again is a play button. Not every language is going to have the audio as well as the written translation. I will show you where we can go in and change to the different languages that are available. But in this case, you do have
Documentar tus comportamientos laborales en un...
that audio as well. I'm going to close the translation, the translator, and then we're going to look at the next one, which is the dictionary. So I'm going to highlight the word work. I'm going to use the dictionary. Again, these are play buttons, so students can hear the definitions as well as see them. The next thing is a picture dictionary, which can be really helpful for working with vocabulary. So let's see, let's pick out organization. If I highlight organization and I want a picture dictionary, this is the picture that comes with organization. It's a place where you can pause and talk to your students. Does that say organization to you? What kind of organization are we talking about? Is this a group of people or is this putting things in order? So talk about that, but especially with students who are learning English as a second language and with middle school students, this is a fantastic way to work with their vocabulary. The next tool is the highlighter tool. This can be used for any kind of compare and contrast, taking notes. They can highlight things in different colors. And then after they have decided what goes in what category they are, and they can strike through things as well, they are then able to gather those together, and these can be copied and pasted onto a separate document. The next tool is the screen masking tool. So there are settings you can go into to change this to a light or a line, or change the dark and the light, change the width of the light section in order to focus students' attention. So this is great for students who need tracking. It also is helpful when you are presenting something on the board and you want to focus students' attention in one place. You can go into the settings and change the speed of the voice, the translation to different languages. And you can see some of them have the speaker and some of them are just going to be written. You can also go into the screen tools and set this. These are all individual settings. If you have students who really need some of these tools in order to be successful accessing the content, they can watch the video to see how to set those. And then any support staff that they have should also know how to work with these in order to really make the content accessible to them. I'm going to close that right now, and we are going to scroll down a little bit. In this particular unit, there are 5 lessons, which means this is the last lesson in the unit. I'm going to scroll down and you will see that there are knowledge check questions. These are things that students can look at to make sure that they are ready to move on to the next section. So after they finish this, there's going to be the quiz and activities and things where they will be responsible for using this information. So the knowledge check can be used individually or as a class or small group to make sure that students are ready to move on. As you go through, the next thing is going to be the podcast. In the podcast, you have 3 ways that you can use this. So the screen reader can be slowed down. The podcast is the place if students need to listen to things faster. This is where they or teachers can listen to it faster. You can use it right from here. You can download it as an MP3. Or if you use this as a pop-up player, it will stay in front of the other content. So students will be able to use it for audio support as they go through their lessons. So you've got all the lessons and activities. You'll see labs in some courses, your interactive flashcards. There will be a quiz. Each of the quizzes by default going to have 15 multiple choice questions. And then that is taken from a quiz bank. I'll show you where you can see the questions in the quiz bank. And that is auto graded. Anything else students turn in, you are responsible for giving them feedback. So there's also discussions here that you can, again, either use in class or students can complete digitally. I want to show what it looks like when students are completing work. So I am right now logged in as a student in the student app. I'm going to open up critical thinking questions. And there are some digital skills that your students will need to have in order to complete these. They have the instructions, and then they have the questions. Below the questions, always going to be the rubric. In order to complete this, they are going to copy the questions. They are going to then navigate to the Dropbox, and they have some options for how they can complete this. You could have them work right in the comment box, and you can see they have all these tools that they can use. You also can have them upload a file or attach their Google Drive in order to submit their work. So those are your choices. And when they click submit work, it will, because this is the Dropbox, it will show up in the Gradebook and you'll be able to access it from there. When they're looking at discussions, it's just slightly different. You'll open the discussion, click new thread in order to answer it. And then this says detailed instructions, use complete sentences. I like students to include the question and the answer. Many of the discussion questions have different parts to them. So you can coach your students through making sure that they are answering all the different parts of their discussion questions. And then to turn it in, they would click post. Yes, we are going to leave. All right, let's take a look at the toolbar at the top. You have a place where students can click to send a message to you. This will go to the email address that is attached to your profile. Nothing is held inside of Buzz. So when you are communicating with them, they're communicating with you through this message system. This is going to your school emails. I also want to show you this. This heart here is a check-in. You can pause anytime during a class. You can use this as an exit ticket. If students are fading after lunch, you can pause and ask them, okay, click that heart, give me a self-assessment, and they can tell you, are they understanding the content? Are they interested? Are they putting effort into it? This can be done as many times as you want. They click update, and then you will see it from the teacher side, so you'll be able to see the whole class at the same time. The next thing that I would like to do is go into grading, assessments, and customization. We are going to leave the student app and go into the teacher app. And we'll look at the gradebook, we'll look at some assessments, and then we'll look at customizing. When you are customizing your course, you will be able to edit, rearrange, modify, embed, add, and link things in order to make this yours. Part of that modifying and editing is you can also hide things from students if you choose not to use them. So we're going to take a look back at Buzz. I'm going to go to my waffle, and I am going to choose teacher, and we're going to be back in the teacher app. First thing I always see in the teacher app is this needs grading. If you use this needs grading feature, this is where you will be able to see every assignment from every student from every class. So if you are working with multiple classes and you want to use this is what's going to give you the ability to do that. And you'll be able to filter them by student, by course, by activity in order to speed up your grading. So we are in the teacher app. We mentioned before these different icons here. I want to show you a different way that you can access the same tools, and that is by this hamburger. I'm going to go into workplace and internship readiness. All the tools that you see at the top above this line are for all your students. The things that you see below the line are for this specific course. So for example, this is all your people. This is the people just in the course. So the next thing I'd like to go into is the gradebook. So click your gradebook and you will see that things are color-coded. By default, anything 70% or above is going to show up in green. Things below 70% are going to show up in red. You have flags here that have been added to note that these students have IEPs or accommodations that need to be met. This is an indicator that I have a pending score, which means that I didn't click submit when I gave that student feedback. Anytime you see a speech bubble, it means that you have left comments on the student's work. So I am going to go down here and we are going to look at a student assignment. If I want to just go in here and correct an assignment, I can click on it from the gradebook. You can see that you get a preview of the student assignment. You can look at some history, and then you have a very robust place that you can give students feedback. So you can use the full screen tool. This is great if students are working on Chromebooks. It's easier for them to see your feedback on a full screen. And you can see that we can put images and screenshots and YouTube videos. All of those are available in your feedback system here. You also can use templates. These are the things that if you have to repeat things to students, or if you know they're going to need a certain tool, you can set up templates in order to, with one click, be able to give them a screenshot or a link or something that will support them in doing their work. I'm going to close this assignment and just mention some of these tools. In the options, you will have different ways that you can change the display. The lightning bolt is for quick editing, and the wrench is going to give you the option to import scores, export scores, or go to final grades. Also across the top, you'll also see this icon, which will take you into the announcement section. You can create new announcements. You can choose whatever course you'd like to put them into and post them from here. And I am going to navigate back here to my course. We were in Gradebook. I also want to show you the reports. Reports, there are many different reports you can choose. Here is one. If you choose student, I would like to see all my students in this course. I would like to see them as of today. I would like to choose only to see the grade. And then I can download that report to a CSV. There are many options for downloading reports. So that's a quick introduction, but you can explore and see which ones will work best for you. The next section in this hamburger menu is where I can go to people. And this will give me information about their progress, their pace, their performance. This is also the place, if I have had them use that heart, it will show their self-rating for these different activities, or their different self-perception for whether they understand, whether they're interested, and whether they're putting effort into their course. It also shows whether they are on track time-wise and what their grades look like. So you can go in and look at these different things. If I click on an individual student, it will show me the same format that students see from their grade report, but you can go in and access the different grades here, whereas students just have the view on. So let's go out of, let me mention, in the people section, you can change the settings for different things that you see here. You can send messages. Also, again, that is external to Buzz. But if you use the wrench in the people section, this is where you can create groups. Those groups can be used to have specific assignments, modified testing, assignments that you have created for different groups. This is where you would go in and group your students. So there's more information for that. I will show you where you can find specific grouping information if you would like to explore that more. We're going to go back to the hamburger here. And the next thing we're going to look at is the editor. So in the editor, you're going to see that same format that we saw in your teacher view and in the student view. So teacher resources, getting started, all the units, the midterm, and the final. So the first thing that I would like to show you on this is how simple it is to hide things. I would definitely hide midterms and finals. If you want to pace your students and you don't want them to have access to everything before you get started, you can hide the entire units and just have them have access to that Getting Started for Students folder. But you can also do this per assignment. So if I just want to hide the quiz because I don't want my students into the quiz yet, I can do that there. If I would like to add custom material, I can click the plus. It will open all of these different options for different things that I can add. I'm going to show you specifically how to add a simple assignment. I'm going to click add. It will open this up. I have information on a separate document that I am just going to copy and paste. I like to keep my actual assignments in separate files so that I don't have to worry about, wait, which course did I put that in? So I can copy and paste my information here. I have lots of tools if I want to change the text color or the background color. I can make it bold or not bold or italic. So there's tons of tools that you can use here. If I want to insert a YouTube video, I can go to YouTube, right click, and then I'm just going to grab the URL for that. I don't need the embed code. I can just take the URL and I can paste it right in there, and it will give me a preview. So there are many other options here for adding activity instructions, other attachments that students might need to do. If you want to make this something where they can submit a response, there are settings that you can use. Let me save this here, and then I'm in unit 1. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the unit, open that up, and then I can go into the settings. And this is something you can do not just on your custom activities. You can do this on existing activities as well. You can change it so that it has submissions, the weight, the categories. I'm going to show you where you can find information on badges, but lots of information that you can go in here and change the settings for this student, including having students enter a password before they start something. I am going to close this. In order to move things within my unit, I can grab it and just slide it up. So if I want to put this in here, let's put this in before skills. So that is going to be the next thing they see when they get to that part. I also want to show you what you can do within quizzes and tests. So if I go in here to my editor, I have the basic information. There are tools that I can add, but I also want to go into my settings. So with quiz settings, you can see that you can change how many times they can answer, how many questions they're going to see per page, how many points, what the weight is, if there's a time limit. So you can go in and remove the time limit if you want to. So students who have accessibility issues and they need accommodations in some way, that can be attached to their profile so that you wouldn't need to do this for them individually, but this is where you would go in to change things for the whole class. You can also view all the questions from this quiz bank, and you can get very deep into this as far as adding more questions and embedding things and looking at the settings. You can also create new groups and just have some students taking different versions of tests. So those are all kinds of things that you can get into the editor and do. That is another training that you can take a look at. There's many tools within Buzz and on our website that will help you learn to do those different things. I'm going to close the quiz, and we are going to take a look at some other tools that you have access to. So this is where I want to pause and just say, you have 100% control over how you use this curriculum for your students. This is not a one-size-fits-all. You can adjust the courses to your needs, your students' needs, your time needs, and you can choose where they're going to work. There is no correct way to do this. Make it your own, and the power is in your hands to make it what you need it to be. The next thing that I would like for you to do is pause the video, and I would like you to go to eDynamicLearning.com. So that website address is on the screen here. Pause me if you need to in order to get to that website. And when that comes up, you will see our orange website. I want to show you 4 things on this website. Number 1, in the center of the screen at the top is the word support. I am going to right-click on that and open it in a new tab. If you are stuck, you need help, something's not displaying, you can't access something, you need to contact support, click contact support, fill this out, give them as much information as you can so that when they reply to you, they can say more than, "Hi, how can we help you?" They can really get on it. So give them links or screenshots or attachments, whatever you need to say so that they know where the issue is and what they need to do to help you. And our support team is amazing. Number 2, so I'm back at that main eDynamic page again. I would like you to go under resources to the drop down that says curriculum teacher resources. So curriculum teacher resources for Buzz, there are so many amazing tools and guides and resources here. These are PDFs of quick start guides. They will walk you through on paper and screenshots, different things that we covered. You will also see video tutorials for the same information, and you can see that there's more information about badges and groups and working with students who need to have IEP and 504 accommodations included on their profiles. So take a look at these. These are all available to you in Buzz. The pacing guide that we saw in the teacher resource section, there is a blank template there, and there is a traditional template and then one for a block schedule. In these quick links, you have professional development opportunities. You have free webinars and workshops. I'm going to right-click the student corner and open that up. This is where you will find videos, those videos that are student-facing about how to use the literacy support toolbar, how to navigate their course, how to use the Dropbox. These are all demonstrated in the Buzz LMS. So they're going to be applicable to your students. You can see that they are on YouTube. So if you want to make a custom assignment that is linked to this video so that students have access to it easily in their course, you can just right-click on that. You can grab the URL and create a specific assignment for it. I am going to go back. So we are teacher resources. I'm going to slide back down to those quick links. You'll see there's also a YouTube channel that has other information. So that's the second thing I wanted to show you was under teacher resources. The third thing is under our solutions. If you are teaching a course that is going to lead to industry certification, this is where you will find that industry certification information, including the pass promise and the different courses that will lead to certification in different areas. So take a look at that. That is under our solutions. And then number 4 location is under our products. So you see here, digital curriculum for middle and high school students. If you click in there, you will see catalogs that show you all the courses that we have available. And then if you are going to be using simulations, Learning Blade for middle school and high school simulations with Knowledge Matters are available here as well for you to preview. That is all the information. That was our last stop. I'm going to click back to that main page. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. On your screen now, you see my thank you. You see an email and a phone number where you can contact eDynamic Learning. If you are working with a sales manager, they are your first point of contact. They can get you to whoever you need to ask questions of, and they can really expedite the process for you. Thank you so much. We wish you the very best as you get started on your eDynamic courses.